when I go on a walk, it is so crazy how I feel like a reset happens. You can be really annoyed or really overwhelmed or really frustrated, and you go on a walk and you just kind of sit in your thoughts. Something that Tom and I were talking about when we were preparing for this episode was I started walking when we did the 75 hard, which was back in 2023. And when I went on these walks, I used to always feel like I had to play a podcast. I needed to be like productive on walks. But then you do 75 days of this and you kind of, there were even some days I was doing 2 walks a day as both of my workouts, and you kind of just start to like not turn anything on. And I remember this one time specifically, I was on this walk and I wasn't listening to anything. I wasn't even praying. Like I was just sitting with my thoughts. And the thought occurred to me, we never sit and just process. Like our culture and our world is so busy, busy, go, go, go that we never sit and just process our thoughts and like
Yeah.
what's going on. And it doesn't even have to be like, when I say process, it doesn't even have to be anything dramatic. Like we don't process like even the smallest things, whether it's hard feelings you're having or really good feelings you're having, or maybe a conversation that you realize that you had, but like you jumped into like going somewhere else. So you never really fully processed. And that was interesting how you said it makes you more empathetic, because there have been times that I've been on a walk and I'm just in my thoughts and I think, and I'm thinking about someone or I'm thinking about a conversation that I had, and I'm like, dang, that's actually really sad. Or dang, that I feel for them. Like I
Hmm.
should check in on them. But in the moment of having the conversation, it didn't click.
Yeah.
I didn't have that same empathy. But once I processed it later, then I was like, man. So
Yep.
it is really interesting. It is, I think that it's just so common to get so caught up in the day to day and the go, go, go that like, and honestly, it can be uncomfortable. Sitting with your thoughts can be uncomfortable.
Well,
I've
that's
had
one thing.
seasons of that.
That's one thing I wanted to talk about too, is because I do think that a lot of us, and I'm even, speaking to myself as well, like you don't, maybe your day is so jam packed with like problem solving and answering questions or whatever, maybe people careers that people are constantly wanting from you,
Mhm.
that like when you start facing like the heaviness maybe of like your own, like, dude, I made that decision. I'm not ready to really think about why I made that decision. That if
Mhm.
I could take it back. And or maybe there's something going on with your family, or maybe something that is probably a reason to stay busy as well,
Mhm.
to stay out of your own thoughts. That's because those could be scary.
And I just had that happen recently where something happened and I knew that it hurt me, but I didn't give myself time to really think about it. And then I went on a walk and I just kind of started praying and thinking, and I just had a good cry on the
Mm.
walk. And I didn't even see that coming. Sometimes I'll go on a walk thinking like I've got a lot of emotions built up. I didn't even see that cry coming when I went on the walk, but it was like, I finally sat with the hurt. And, we listened to a sermon this week, and something I felt really convicted of is the whole thing was about being lazy. And one of the things that he said is that sometimes we can just be so busy and we think that being busy is productive, but we're not being productive in the right things. And sometimes we will fill our time with like constant busyness, and you're not even being productive because you're not dealing with the things that you actually need to deal with. And I feel like I can be guilty of that, where our life is really full and work keeps me busy, the kids keep me busy. We have a lot of different things going on, but I will avoid the inner work that I know that needs to be done because it makes me uncomfortable. So it's like, yes, I'm productive and I'm constantly doing and I'm working, and I would not consider us lazy people at all, but when it comes to those deep rooted things, those things that you have to face and you have to feel and you have to work through and you have to acknowledge, that's when it's, I tend to avoid those
Mhm.
things.